Hello everybody and welcome to another Beyond All Reason video. As you can see, this is a very flat and foresty map, and that's because we're on the flats and forest map with a 1v1 here, predominantly played multiple teams, normally big teams but can be played small teams. I have seen FFAs on this map as well, but no, today it's a 1v1 between 1000ticks and IENemo. Seen both players on the channel somewhat recently, and this was actually a video or replay that was submitted to me on the Discord. So don't forget, if you have an interesting match you want me to check out, check the description of the video and you can see there's a Discord invite link there, and from that you can post the replay for me to have a look at. Now, as we have 1000ticks here starting off as Armada going vehicle, and their opponent over here, Nemo, also going vehicles. Now, wind is somewhat all over the place here with a low of 4 and a high of 12. So both players choosing to start off here with solar, especially with the wind dipped down below 7. But probably see some wind scaling later on. 12 is not the best, so maybe they won't go too hard with wind, but we'll see, I guess. Now, being this map is an 8v8 map, just zooming out a little bit, you can see here the huge amount of space and metal extractors available on the map. So we're expecting a lot of expansion being needed here. Potentially we could see some players choosing to go air here just for the speed of the air cons being able to get out as quick as possible, because it's going to be really difficult to hold a front line on a map this big. So you're going to see a lot of raids and a lot of rebuilding having to happen here. With it being so flat as well, it's going to be somewhat difficult to get radar to cover all of it. There's not really going to be any blind spots. There are a few, but not really that big a deal. We can see, just due to the size of the map, both players here choosing to basically just build scouts for the first part of the game, try and cover as much ground as possible as we actually shift space here to see the build queue of Nemo. It's 4 scouts into con, 25 scouts con, 25 scouts con, and then starting the blitz production after, 50 plus scouts being built. Whereas on the opposite side here, we have 1000ticks just kind of going for a 5 scout to con transition here. So in theory, by looking at that, 1000ticks should get more build power out quicker, should be able to expand quicker, but will he be able to defend against the large quantity of units that Nemo is going to have? That's where we're yet to see. So both players have located each other. As we select Nemo, they know that 1000ticks is there, and vice versa. When we select 1000ticks, he saw units coming out from this direction and saw the metal extractor there as well as other stuff. So he kind of knows where his opponent is. So both players are going to be pushing forces towards each other now in an attempt to kind of block it off. But you're already seeing the unit difference here when it comes to... Sorry, I pressed the right button. Unit difference here. 13 scouts to 1000ticks 7. 1000ticks choosing not to go to ticks. This is a perfect opportunity for you to build 1000ticks, but no. And this is a lot of scouts barreling straight towards 1000ticks base. Now, obviously, scouts die extremely quickly, so don't necessarily expect them to be able to inflict too much damage, but they will maybe grab this constructor and just look at the speed in which that constructor goes down. And still with some left as well, but considering the build queue here of 1000ticks, he should be able to get pretty much back up and running very quickly. We see 1000ticks has attempted to try and get some vision, but it didn't pay off in the end, and no damage was inflicted. So far, the only damage that's really been dealt has been by Nemo here. Unfortunately, with blitzes, their bullets have to obviously hit the target, and incisors would be significantly better at dealing with such scout spam, considering they're like pretty much always guaranteed a hit. As we look at expansion here, so 1000ticks has 2 cons there and 2 cons there expanding. Doesn't have any more than that. Whereas Nemo here only has a single constructor expanding down to the bottom. He's got 2 here. But other than that, that's it. I mean, realistically, it makes sense because your priority is expand towards your opponent, which is why we see these expanding towards each other, because then the metal extractors behind will be relatively safe. However, it is kind of, you know, there's a good chunk of metal extractors here you're choosing not to build, when he could like send this guy this way and send some guys like that. But yeah, I mean, I'm expecting to see both players end up with a lot of metal here, either going into Tech 2 pretty early, or we're going to see mass Tech 1 spam. The fact that we're still seeing scout spam right now, 1000ticks is losing that battle quite considerably though, due to the amount of scouts that Nemo's been punching out. But all it takes is a couple of LLTs and all of those scouts are dead. Which is exactly what 1000ticks is building here, is just a line of LLTs followed by metal extractors. Just trying to delay them. These cons have been idle now for at least a minute and a half. Finally, we see some cons actually going that exact path that I was mentioning earlier on. 3 constructors in this group as well. So Nemo definitely pushing out his build power quite a while. Now, he does have 1 idle. And we can see that wind's been pretty rubbish this entire map. So both players focusing mostly on solars here. 1000ticks has queued up some wins here with his commander, and actually gone for double factory here, pushing out scouts, scout blitz, and con scouts. He does also have some idle constructors, which is a shame because right now he could do with pushing this way with some build power. He does have more cons expanding though. We see 1000ticks expanding with 7 constructors, and Nemo only expanding with 6. Technically, these have been idle for so long, I'm not counting them. Oh, but his tick's about to lose too. No, the blitzers show up just in time. But this is a somewhat dangerous force here. We see 8 blitzes making their way across. We just saw how well blitzes deal with scouts, and 1000ticks mostly has scouts in his army. Now, it is walking straight towards an LLT, which will help with the damage needed. And good work there by 1000ticks. He does lose the metal extractor, unfortunately, and with how big this map is, it's going to be a while till a constructor can get there. Same with this one over here. Finally, these guys are being used again. Interesting radar placement though. They've been built up on the high ground and provided a lot more value. Interesting with how much both players have got like room to cover. Neither one has yet decided to go for air. mostly due to the energy requirements that it takes. Nemo is pumping out just blitzes right now. So we switch over to 1000ticks' POV. We can see that he has started getting blitzes as well. Finally, we do see air coming from 1000ticks here. It does make sense with the amount of metal extractors. Even if you just fly a couple of air cons out and just go and capture mexes, because of the size of the map, it's just going to take so long for your opponent to firstly find them and then secondly deal with them. The 1000ticks were e-stalling right now. The LLTs are not able to fire as effectively as they would, meaning that they're able to actually push through quite effectively down here. Now, for those of you that don't know, certain units require energy to fire, and as we select this LLT here in the bottom left-hand corner, you can see it says energy a shot is 20. And with basically no energy in the bank, there was just nothing they could do. Huge chunk moving through the center as well. These guys being idle, there are twilights here, so if they do dive on them, they may get EMP'd, but there are no units there to really do much. 1000ticks trying to find some holes here with scouts and blitzes, but not being as effective. Good EMP, manages to grab pretty much all of them, with one con maybe able to escape. That EMP is not going to last forever though, and as 3, 2, 1, and now they're all back up and running again. He's trying to keep that Cloaky alive, but bad timing really. Focusing on the constructor is a good move here to delay your opponent's expansion. Neither player really focusing on this at all because they're focusing on this. As 1000ticks has managed to find a little bit of a hole, taking out 2 metal extractors, did not take out the constructor. And these guys just trying to move around, try and get some damage. They will capture a couple more metal extractors here as they drive by. Being so close to the base, they should get resolved pretty quickly. Air cons, as we said earlier on, now just flying up here to try and get some metal extractors for free. But 1000ticks in some problems here as this wave of blitzes are just marching towards the main base, having to stop E-Solar production here in an attempt to get a beamer up to deal with it. 3 vehicle labs now pumping out blitzes at a rapid pace. One of them working on Janus Blitz. 1000ticks has apparently had the metal lead for a while now, which is funny because when you look at it, really all he has is like this shape. Whereas Nemo has not really had these center mexes contested in a very long time, and yet still doing pretty well. EMP mexes clearly being a good choice here, as even if it doesn't really kill the units, it's delaying the units, giving him enough time, 1000ticks, to move forces to kind of intercept those units, and that's kind of what he needs right now, is the time to move. Fighters have come out from Nemo, and that has shut down the metal extractor production in that top corner. Nemo will probably just do the same himself now and send guys up there to deal with it. These poor cons are definitely dead. I mean, with so much going on in so many places around the map, it's hard to really say who's in a stronger position right now. I mean, there's a lot of metal laying around. Potentially worth getting a bot lab on the go here to get some res bots, but I mean, realistically, they shouldn't need it wow, a couple of blitzes have actually managed to make it into the actual base here of Nemo. They get taken out pretty soon after that, but still. Basically, everyone's just sending units after units at each other and not really building up a sizable force here. These guys are chasing down the 2 expansion constructors. A good self-destruct of a Twilight here may save them, but no. It's just looks like a mess. This just blue and red mixed together all over the map, especially the bottom side here. You got air, you got blue's fighters just kind of hovering over the almost the base of 1000ticks. Meanwhile, you've got blue here behind red units. You got red units just pushing straight through blue units on the front. 1000ticks able to pick up a constructor, but I mean these guys are pushing in here. I'm not sure how much damage they're going to be able to do. Seems like a decent amount, taking out some solars here, trying to get to the A solars. But sitting inside of an LLT's range will mean that they don't end up getting anything. He needs to be careful that he just doesn't donate like a ton of metal. Resbot's now coming out from Nemo, and 2.2k of metal now on the front. Janice is just being thrown willy-nilly into the fight. And army value is a problem for 1000ticks, as Nemo has been grouping his forces pretty well here and has started building up a sizable chunk. This is a bit risky. Air does look like advantage 1000ticks right now. He is, like we said up here, slowly just building up with air cons here. He's building some defenses on the metal extractors. Meanwhile, these guys, as we were talking about earlier on, they've just been sent to safely cap stuff behind. Nemo is applying all his pressure this way, forcing 1000ticks to basically respond to that way, meaning that anything south of that line, like that direction, is pretty much safe, because 1000ticks is going to push base rather than, you know, push anything else. It's weird because, like, because of the size of the map here, 1000ticks is able to, like, get behind Nemo's force and end up getting, like, flanking damage applied to them, meaning that he's able to take some fairly favorable trades here. Now, saying that, like, this ball here that was just running alongside was not favorable in the slightest, and he had a lot of loss there. But we're seeing Janice is mixed in now. Both players basically on Janice Stout combo. We're saying that we're just seeing Stout and blitzes from Nemo, but still. I can see what they're doing. They're basically sending like a detachment off, and you're going, right, I want you to go here, here, here. I want you to just kind of just see how far you can get. And that's what 1000ticks' plan is. He's just grabbing a bunch of units and just go, right, go. Get as far as you can. Do as much damage as you can, because you can't really spend micro on all of this. There's just too much going on here that you can't really afford to be concentrating on every single unit group and every single tiny fight that's going on. You just need to send units and hope, and only really pay attention to this sort of a push. Now, with both players playing Armada, obviously we're not going to see things like shurikens or anything like that, but 1000ticks has done a pretty good job here at getting behind the front lines of Nemo in multiple places. We've got ticks up the top, we've got some stouts, some Janices, fighters flying around, killing any air cons. But front line wise, which is this force down here, 1000ticks is not looking good. Forces being whittled away just from range, and there are 3 cons there ready to heal up or build up anything there. Now there are a bunch of res bots, and I think 1000ticks' plan is maybe just apply more and more pressure and hope that that ends up winning out, that he can do enough damage across the map, but it's not looking that. Army value difference is 74%. You've got another huge force here of 34 tanks just in the center, as well as this guy's running on the bottom 20, so 50 something units in total. And 1000ticks has gone Tech 2. We'll see if the Bulls are able to save this, as 1000ticks is kind of struggling to hold on at the moment. This force is going to do substantial damage, especially if it spreads out. Look how many metal extractors are up here that are just not really defended. This res ball blob is desperately trying to run away, and if they keep pushing through, they will get some decent damage, these units. And these res bots should be able to react and just resurrect most of the stuff that's coming in, but still yet to be seen. All the beamers that have been built are kind of at least whittling down these blitzes as they march their way through. 1000ticks done a good job here at denying the reclaim as well, but this is a worry as this force manages to make it in. Tech 2 units detected, being heard by Nemo here as the first bull makes its way out. And with a high metal map like this, losing build power is gonna hurt. But not only that, losing these A solars is gonna hurt even more, as Tech 2 obviously costs a lot of energy to build. And most of the A solars get destroyed there. 1000ticks is not going to be happy about that. He has still got this huge chunk over there, and not only that, he does have a massive res ball blob down here that can resurrect that stuff very quickly if he wants it to. But a smart play by Nemo up here. He's just sent like literally like 5 or 6 units to just go around and grab these metal extractors, just clear them up. And the advantage that 1000ticks had earlier on is starting to wear away when it comes to economy. Nemo has also chosen to go Tech 2 vehicles right now as well. He's getting that fusion up so that he can eat pretty much most of those Tech 1 wins. Nice grab of the res bots, but still army value is only because of the Tech 2 units in the mix here. Army value is back to 1000ticks' side actually, which is surprising. They both went Tech 2 around the same time. 1000ticks maybe a little bit ahead, but the Bulls will need to pay off pretty quick, as that's mostly what the army value is in. It's 950 metal. This one bull is the equivalent of, you know, almost 9 blitzes. And has it killed 9 blitzes? Nope. I mean, that one actually did kill 9 units, but still. Couple of Jags in the mix there as well, but these units marching blindly forward into the line of fire of Nemo, and 7.9k metal reclaim with a 4k metal reclaim right next to it is a huge reclaim field that Nemo does have very good control over at the moment. 1000ticks just streaming units into this Nemo army, hoping to basically just give time for these res bots to resurrect stuff behind, but it's not looking good right now. It's interesting, the fighter positions. You've got these fighters up here of red, behind these blue fighters that have been sat there for ages. You've had a couple of units around the back here just slowly whittle down the metal extractors around the back. Ball's now starting to show up from Nemo. It's just a massive cluster in the middle. But it does seem like 1000ticks has more res bots considerably. And he's making the most out of this. He's actually resurrecting everything here, whereas Nemo is trying to eat all that metal. Now, if he does lose this Red Bull army that 1000ticks has, it's gonna be a substantial loss, and the units are getting right on top of the res bots. Huge bowl of res bots go down there. He does have a chunk more, 14 more at the top there, but that's still most of the Res Bull army destroyed. But just looking at the unit numbers here, it is starting to add up and be very advantageous to 1000ticks. He needs a bit more res bots. He's actually chosen to eat everything now. Now he's got the unit lead. He's going for eating of the metal instead. Cloaked fusions, wow. And Nemo's actually getting pushed back pretty far here. I'm surprised we're not seeing some units sent up around the top here in order to try and deal with some of IENemo's side. Oh, we're literally just about to see that now. All of those units? Wow, yeah, he's sending everything. Hoping that he can produce units quick enough to stop any IENemo counterattack. A lot of that metal has gone now to 1000ticks, and we look at metal produced, 10% difference between the two players now. And that 10%, we're talking in the tens of thousands of metal. And interestingly enough, with Nemo pushing hard towards the base of 1000ticks, this army that was sent up and around to aggro has actually been redirected towards the base here. I think with the amount of production in base, it's going to be hard to get much damage dealt there. It's funny, it feels like in this match there's a lot going on, but also not. And I don't know if you agree with me. It's like there's a lot of fights going in a lot of places, and we can see that here of like, you know, this fight is going on up here. You got guys going down here and round. We've got slow expansion here. This is actually funny as well. He's reclaiming. He's just building the Twilight on top. And then he doesn't have to reclaim the Tech 1 underneath. Okay, that's interesting. Didn't know that was possible. Gunships here. I feel like these gunships would be better suited to going around and like taking out these metal extractors. Think how much damage you'd be able to inflict if you took out all of these. And it's the same thing here. We see like IENemo here is going basically straight for the base, but he could be sending this force like round this way and just take out as many of these metal extractors as possible. Neither player really has great vision here. And we can see the army numbers again switching. Mostly due to 1000ticks here as we switch over to the base. Starting tech-free unit production. Actually starting with Marauders, which is a interesting choice. I mean, they're cheap, but feel like maybe Razorbacks may have been a better option here. biggest problem is you've got so much territory to cover. You need to make sure you're like able to field enough units to cover everything, because statics aren't going to work. This section fight down here is just becoming an absolute grind as both players just constantly send a stream of units to it. No one's really winning this. It's just death. Meanwhile, this fight over here that's just north of 1000ticks base is finding some value. Gotten quite a few metal extractors already as it continues marching forward. It's pulling away the tech 3 from the front line, which could be doing even more damage. Energy produced so far, advantage 1000ticks. Metal produced should be of 1000ticks, but that gap has shrunk a little bit. We can see that 1000ticks doing a good job here at scaling his economy, actually reclaiming these advanced solars to get some metal back in order to build the fusions. Meanwhile, on the opposite side, we see cloaky fusions built here in an attempt to stop bombing runs from happening, but they are being built like right next to large quantities of build power. And surprisingly, IENemo hasn't reclaimed any of the basic solars yet, even with that many fusions. Orders marching on, just trying to find a hole. I think this is basically a match of who can rebuild quickest. Because if you lose those metal extractors on the flanks, you just got to get them back. The quicker you get them back, the better. We may end up seeing Tech 2 air here in an attempt to get Tech 2 metal extraction spread out a lot quicker. So far, not seeing that from either player, but it wouldn't surprise me if we see it soon. IENemo tick spamming and building Tech 3 of his own. IENemo is struggling with rebuilding though. This section of the map has been dead for quite a long time. Staying with down here, and yet none of that has been rebuilt. Whereas we see 1000ticks doing a pretty good job at rebuilding. He's got some air cons that are already doing it. But still no real advantage here. There's a few more orders, but they're prioritizing ticks rather than the bulls right now, as they're not really being microed. But all this time, no one's getting this reclaim field, and yet there are forces moving around, just slowly taking out extra metal extractors of IENemo's. And it's all going to add up as that metal value increases. It's saying that though, look, there's literally a 1% difference between the two players right now for metal extraction. Marauders getting absolutely destroyed by the bulls. And finally some of the metal extractors at least at the top area here being dealt with. Slowly but surely. Very quick considering there's an idle marauder there, but still. Razorbacks now starting to come out, and on top of that we see a nuke being planned by 1000ticks here. 1000ticks reclaiming his Tech 3 lab. He will reclaim that before the Razorback is finished, giving him a huge amount of metal that he is going to, I'm guessing, dump into the nuke. No, dumping into Tech 2 unit production at the moment, which is a very interesting choice, as his opponent is getting an anti-nuke built and is pumping out Razorbacks. So that nuke is not going to get too much value. He could use it to take out groups of units, or like maybe a mass amount of metal extractors. Like one nuke there would take out, you know, 8 metal extractors. That seems like a massive waste, but you know, Now it is saying army value advantage to 1000 ticks right now, but it's only due to that Razorback. Once a Razorback of Nemo's gets built, we're going to see that number switch over pretty quickly. And we can also see that with this larger units being built, just the quantity of units that are on the front line are diminishing quite quickly. 1000 ticks really needs some res bots over here as quick as possible, because this is a lot of metal now on the field. He is using 4 constructors here, just out of interest for science. Basically 40k of metal just sat on the front line there. So much metal. Not really doing a very good job at dealing with those. Let's say I hear an EMP go off. Nuke has finished building. We're now just waiting for the missile to be built. 2 Tech 1 air labs. But one of them is idle. Why? Interesting. Don't quite know what's going on with that air lab, but still, as we look at the basically the main fight here, we see 2 Razorbacks versus 1 Razorback. This is basically the fight for the reclaim field. There's still a lot of metal there. And 1000 ticks is hoping that this Tech 2 spam that he's pushing out now of mass bulls will be enough. Razorback goes down, but another one is shortly behind it. There's this single Marauder left, but Nemo is definitely in a worse position here than 1000 ticks. Pretty much on all avenues we see that 1000 ticks should be significantly ahead. Pretty much getting every single reclaim field as well, which is a key factor here. We can see that some of this reclaim field is being gotten by Nemo, but Nemo really struggling with rebuilding. So we see these ones in this top corner still not rebuilt. Mass Tech 1 and some Tech 2 dropped in the mix here. Managed to then pick up Nemo's res bots. But with 2 Razorbacks here, this Tech 1 is really struggling to make a dent against these Razorbacks. Nuke has been launched. But the anti-nuke already there. But this force is now piling in. Will it be able to grab the anti-nuke so that a second shot can go off? Hard to say. Plenty of defenses and Razorbacks here ready to defend. But this is the closest 1000 ticks has got to the base in a while now. And Nemo hasn't been close to 1000 ticks base in even longer. He's trying to take out the Tech 2 factory, just doesn't have the build power for it. Oh, not the build power, sorry, the units for it. 4 Razorbacks just shooting the units as they pile in one by one. Feeding Nemo plenty of metal to turn into more and more Razorbacks. And the Tech 3 production has resumed now for 1000 ticks back to Razorbacks. And 1000 ticks needs to scale up his energy. So this is the problem with 1000 ticks right now. He has stopped scaling. There are so many metal extractors on the map, you don't really need to scale E conversion, but he's stopped scaling E and is using more than he's able to get. Both players have kind of stopped scaling altogether, to be fair. Nemo hasn't been building much at all. Hoping that these Razorbacks can hold off for now. Army value is very close between them, but 1000ticks able to just find some good holes. Also doing very well here with the res bots, able to pretty much resurrect everything that's going on. And with that, also resing Razorbacks as well. Not surprising there that Razorbacks do very well against beamers. Anti-nuke going off again. Did you not see the first time that he had an anti-nuke? Such a graveyard of units here. See, Nemo's on the back foot. Nemo can't afford to send units elsewhere right now. Nemo needs everything at the front. But he really could do with it. He can't send air because he's lost air. He keeps sending... He's got a fighter production. Wherever it is. I'm trying to find it. Here. Those fighters are just walking there and dying. So he's never actually stacking up any air force. Which is a big mistake here. He's just spawning. Basically, he's just wasting 3.1 metal a second. Then this may be the beginning of the end here, as Nemo is just unable to even contest that reclaim field at the moment. He does have a decent amount of Razorbacks. 13 Razorbacks on the map in total. Well, just in this small area. Scout spam is clearing up some metal extractors. I wonder if 1000ticks' plan is to draw these Razorbacks out and then nuke. There goes the nuke. Oh my god, literally what I was just saying. Nuke goes off. Unfortunately, the Razorbacks have pushed a lot further than maybe he was expecting. And don't actually hit the Razorbacks at all, just actually damaging his own units. I wonder if we're going to see Titan here at all. Six definitely has the metal production for it. He could choose to switch out to Titans here. That would make a big difference, I think, on the front. Could potentially risk going for a 4 as well. A lot more energy, though. Well, not more than a Titan, but you know what I mean. EMP missiles would work pretty good against the Razorbacks. It would also deal with the spam here quite effectively, and its high health would work wonders. The problem would be is all of these wrecks here would be pretty difficult for it to like path through. Both players just wanting this metal. Just heard a missile. Nuke going off again. Right on top of the Razorbacks. Walking into the nuke. Oh. Oh, it's down. Okay. That was a very expensive way to kill the metal extractors. Micro really lacking now on the front here. Second experimental gantry going up. We were complaining about 1000ticks not scaling his E. Well, now he's got 2 Aphuses and 2 more on the go. Meanwhile, over here, we see a single Aphus from Nemo. And here we go. First Titan has arrived on the field of battle just as Starlights have started to arrive for 1000ticks. And once again, the entire reclaimed field is going to 1000ticks, unable to contest. This Titan has to do work. And actually, IENemo is building 4s here. But with Nemo being slowly surrounded here and his expansion cut off, I think it's only a matter of time. You can see half the map's red, and unfortunately we don't see a dramatic ending there as Nemo knows he's done and gives the GG. But it's funny, all the rewards go to Nemo, and yet 1000ticks is the one that is victorious. I feel like Nemo just ran out of APM there and just couldn't cope. So well played, Nemo. Huge graveyards of tech 3 units here and tech 2. Well, I hope you all enjoyed that one. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe for the YouTube algorithm. And I will see you all next time.